So now I want to introduce the group, and then we change the panel, because now we will listen to young people, really young people. The leader of the group is Mr. Stephen Aiello. He is hiding in one of the back rows. And he is the founder and director of Debate for Peace. This is a group we met only 1 year ago. Actually, it's like June last year. And thanks to Maria Riel, because she found this one email asking us to meet the group in a very hot summer day, even like yesterday or like tomorrow. So we met them, and actually we were fascinated by the spirit you have, by the power you have, and this dedication to work for peace, even in a place where it's really hard to keep this vision. So we're very happy to welcome you today. Mr. Stephen Aiello, he grew up in USA. He came to Israel when he was 18 years old. He's Jewish, Israeli, Italian, American, mixed. This is always good to have mixed background. He studied economics and diplomacy and conflict resolution, also Islamic studies, really had up for this. Stephen is an executive board member for the NGO Committee on Sustainable Development in New York, is project officer and dialogue expert at ASFAR, and alumni and coordinator for the Bosch Alumni Network. He is a native English speaker, fluent in Hebrew and Arabic. He helps produce an Israeli-Palestinian peace podcast, The Other Side, and they edited a book, The Right Path, an anthology of writing by Israeli and Palestinian youth following October the 7th. And now I think we have to leave our panel, and we give the floor to you, to Mr. Stephen Aiello, Ms. Emily Shalby, Mr. Shair Sif-Af, Mr. Yusuf Abdel Ghani, and Snir El Sur, and the moderator for this part will be Ms. Hala Abu Saris, a strong young lady from the area, she with a background of education, administration, and cross-cultural dialogue, experienced in managing teams, supporting early childhood development, and executing operational tasks. She has strong communication skills, proficient in Microsoft Office and Excel, and passionate about creating inclusive and impactful learning environments. So we welcome you up here, and we give the space to you. Yes. Welcome.
Okay, maybe one more round of applause for Renate. My first peacebuilding experience came when I was 13, going in 8th grade in New York, when 2 planes flew into the Twin Towers. A few days later, some local Pakistani Muslim teenagers threw rocks into our Jewish schoolyard. And with my dad's help, we started a Jewish Muslim basketball league together with a local Pakistani Muslim organization. My first experience with grassroots peacebuilding and bridge building. 15 years later, living in Tel Aviv, I founded Debate for Peace to create a safe space for dialogue between Jewish, Israeli, and Palestinian youth through Model United Nations. On October 7th, my wife and I were woken up at 6 a.m. by air raid sirens. The first messages I got came from Gazan friends who were simultaneously concerned about my own safety while fearing the worst for their own future. And it soon became clear that the worst day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust was also the worst day for the Palestinian people in over 7 decades. Faced with the ugliness of what demonization and hatred had brought us, I resolved to increase my efforts for reconciliation and bridge building. Debate for Peace pivoted. We went from promoting debate and Model UN to focusing on fostering empathy and resilience through hope. Our activities have included daily Zoom calls for Arab and Jewish students for the first 2 months of the war, weekly writing workshops where students share their emotions and learn to write together, empathy storytelling where students listen to and then tell one another stories, and a peace-building exercise where they have 2 to 3 hours to negotiate their own comprehensive resolutions to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Easy. Last week, we held the first peace-building camp for Israeli and Palestinian youth together with Albanian and Serbian youth in Kosovo with our partners at TOCA. And our book, The Right Path, is tangible proof that we can refuse to give in to the fear, anger, frustration, and other emotions that divide us, and instead seek empathy and hope together. And now I'm honored to call up the panelists, well, they're here, but to introduce them briefly, to share their experiences and perspectives. Collectively, they have participated in our writing competition, working with a Jewish or Arab partner, writing on the theme of hope or identity, participating in peacebuilding simulations, model UN conferences, and traveling abroad with their peers from different communities. But every step along the way was a small act of courage and a giant leap of faith that we can build a better future together. Starting with Emily. Emily is from a Palestinian Muslim family and splits her time between the Jewish majority city of Netanya and the Palestinian majority city of Nazareth. Emily's majoring in computer science, physics, and chemistry in high school. Sneer, next to her, is a Jewish Israeli of Moldovan, Dutch, and Polish heritage and lives in the city of Gedera in southern Israel. Sneer's majoring in diplomacy and chemistry in high school. Yair, to my left, is majoring in computer science and social studies in high school, while also studying law at the Academic Center for Law and Business. He's a third-generation Jewish Israeli from the suburbs of Tel Aviv. And next to Yair, Yusuf is a Ukrainian Palestinian Muslim from the coastal town of Akko in northern Israel. His mother is from a Ukrainian Jewish family, while his father is from a Palestinian village in northern Israel. Yusuf is a recent high school graduate who majored in electronics. And now I will hand it off to our moderator, Hala, a Palestinian Muslim from the center of Israel, who's studying linguistics and education at Bar Ilan University. Hala is an alumna of cross-cultural programs like EcoPeace, and is now a dialogue and program facilitator for Debate for Peace, as well as creating Friendships for Peace, having run youth training workshops in conflict zones like Israel, Cyprus, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Kosovo. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'll make it short. Thank you for joining us today. And we're here today to hear from our remarkable and youth-building students, leaders who are building peace in the midst of conflict. So I'll make it short, and let's begin our first question. Okay. Each of you chose to join a peace-building program, even though we're during a horrible war. What led you to make that decision? And what challenge did you face or overcome? And how did you come to understand that people have different perspectives, point of views, and backgrounds? I'll give the floor to you guys.
I think that, at least in my experience and in my opinion, while the war has been very difficult for all of us, I think it did not quell the dream of peace. I think it only increased our desire to bridge the gap and to hear the other side and to really sit down and listen and try and understand what caused this conflict, what caused the violence and the anger and the hate, and to try and maybe rebuild and bridge this gap. And though our situation may seem very doom and gloom, the efforts towards everyone's here shared goal of peace and achieving unity in the most dangerous and conflict-ridden places on earth is stronger every day.
Thank you, Yair. Taking into consideration that I was born in Netanya and I spent also my entire life in Nazareth. So for those who don't know, Nazareth is where Arab people live and Netanya where Jewish people live. So that might also give you a hint why I decided to join Debate for Peace program in the first place. I ran this year a lot of events for peace in our school to meet both Arab from gifted classes and Jews from gifted classes, to erase all of the stereotypes, to get over the social norms we face on a daily basis in Israel. And what I always want youth to do in Israel, especially because of the conflict we are going through, the tough times we have gone through is not easy and it's not something we should normalize, is the fact that I don't want youth to underestimate the power they have by sharing their perspective, by having the chance to stand up for themselves, to show that there is no such thing as social norms that can stop us from rebuilding peace, that can stop us from giving a new chance, a new opportunity by each day that goes by to the next side, to the other side we have. So, also, I want youth to understand the capacity they have by simply having the opportunity to go in these programs. I want youth to make impact on Israel. I want them to experience and fulfill their needs to eventually have a community where we can all understand each other's and erase social norms and stereotypes. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. I do really want to appreciate the question because I believe that that question is very important and has to be addressed at one point and probably better at the beginning. Just talking about my own personal background and my own personal experience, a couple of years ago, I honestly wasn't sure if joining a peace program with Stephen, Debate for Peace, or any other program was in the middle of the chaos and wars was actually a good idea or just outright stupid. I was born in a mixed family. My father is Muslim, my mother is Jewish. So the whole thematic of peace was kind of in my roots since I was a kid. I found myself basically in the middle. My family was telling me that it's too dangerous, it's not safe for us because of your background. If you tell, if you ask, it's not gonna end well. My friends told me that it was just a waste of time. But at one point, I even asked myself, maybe they're actually right. Maybe I should just stop and drop everything and just continue with my life without joining any programs, without actually understanding what it's about. But soon after I realized, if I don't show up now, in the middle of the chaos, of the wars, we're going to be talking about peace after the war, after the violence, after everything that already happened, after the chaos erupted. And this is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to build peace during what was happening. So that helped me reach a decision, and obviously not without some internal monologues with myself, understanding that this is what I want to do. This is what I want other people to understand about peace.
When I was growing up, I've always been told that I'm too loud, that I speak too loudly and I voice my opinion way too much. And because of that, when I grew up, I learned that I wasn't supposed to express my opinions or voice any of my doubts. And now when I get opportunities like these to speak in front of a crowd, to talk about my experiences and to share my story, it feels wrong. I really like public speaking because it acts as a way to prove to myself that I'm capable of making a difference. It shows that I can test my limits, and it's a real challenge for me because I always doubt myself. And it's really reflected in my past, and more often than not, I've failed to get my voice to be heard. And especially now, with the war weighing down on me, I felt hopeless. I felt like I couldn't do a thing. I had to get more motivation somehow, and thankfully I had a lot of support from my friends and my teachers, and they encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone, to keep trying, and to experiment, and that landed me this opportunity to speak in front of you all. Peace building to me isn't just about the loud, confident people that aren't afraid to speak their mind. It's also about the small voices, the people afraid to speak up, to share their opinion. And it's about giving them a platform to be heard. Usually students with high IQs have a lower EQ, and it's often accompanied by mental health disorders that hinder their ability to interact with their peers. This means that the most brilliant ideas can come from the quietest people. And it's why I believe true peace can only be achieved when every voice, no matter how young, old, loud, or quiet, is given a space to be heard and valued.
Thank you, leaders, for your insightful responses. we'll move on to the next question, which is, in a world that feels increasingly divided, what helped you see that it's possible to find common ground with people who hold different point of views or even beliefs than you guys?
Couple of years ago, when I joined the debate club, I was in 6th grade, I think. When I entered the room, I promised myself something that I promised myself I'm going to commit it. I promised myself I'm never going to stop until I actually see I'm doing an impact, whether it's the global impact on youth or whether it's something that has to do with my community. And here I am today, taking a step forward into this path. What I wanted to say regarding how I actually fathomed or realized I actually can't find a common ground with the other side are multiple different stories. So I knew Debate for Peace through a writing competition where each Arab had to collaborate with a Jew in order to write a piece or essay that has to do with hope. And it was a very creative writing kind of style. So we had a lot of Zooms during this winter break. And I actually fathomed that we are not that different. In fact, we are very similar. We just need to find the time to sit and listen to each other's and to actually normalize the fact that at the end of the day, we are nothing except for human beings. Doesn't matter our ethnicity, doesn't matter our nationality, but what actually does matter is the fact that we all are willing to have hope and we are all willing to collaborate in order to reach this opportunity. Now, another experience, last year, first of all, I participated in the World Scholars Cup for 3 years in a row. It's basically a debate competition. I was third best debater in Israel, and my teammates and I at Yale University took top 10 teams in Europe and the Middle East. Now, at a certain level, last year of my World Scholars Cup, my teammates decided they no longer want to continue. And both of my teammates were Arab, so I needed to look for a new team, and I couldn't really find anyone until I found a very nice and amazing boy and girl. They were both Jews, older than me by 1 year, and we collaborated in this competition. We got top 5 teams in Israel back then, and then I realized that racism or social norms no longer exist when you actually have a goal that you want to set in front of you, because as long as you put your mind to it, there is nothing that can stop you from achieving peace. Thank you.
I also think I would like to, first of all, very much agree with what Emily said and what her experience essentially proved is that, in my personal opinion and from my experiences, I think that us as the youth, the younger people, the teenagers, have the capacity to create peace on levels that maybe others can fail to see or to realize, because we were brought up in, like, I think the most tolerant of generations in what, like, in everything regarding racism, sexism, what have you, all the discriminations, the different discriminations that people have. I think this generation is the most open-minded, the most accepting and the best at dealing with them, which absolutely will help us bridge the cultural divides and foster a level of understanding, and that may even be unachievable with traditional politics. And secondly, as teenagers, we are, especially, it was highlighted in Emily's story, we are idealistic people. We, maybe it's perhaps because, like, the world has not yet quelled our dream of a united world, of a peaceful world where everyone gets along and no one is in danger or is ashamed or is hurt just because of who he is, and no one is discriminated for race or gender or what have you. So because of these, maybe our generation sees the world not as it is, but as it could be, and our unique mindset, which I think some would see as a naivete or as a weakness, I think is very much could be the foundation for everlasting peace.
Honestly, I can't continue with my speech that I prepared without thanking Emily and Yair, because they explained it and answered it perfectly. And all I can say is I believe the answer to that question is one word, and it's very simple: us. Every single human in this room, in this building, in Vienna, maybe even in the whole world. We wouldn't be here if we had some discriminations and we didn't think that it was possible. And the whole group, Debate for Peace, we came here as 20 people, and we're from various backgrounds. There's Arabs, there are people from Kosovo, there are Jews. We're so diverse, and we go along so well. So going back to my previous point, once again, I believe every single human in this room deserves clapping and absolute respect, because without you, this whole thing wouldn't happen. So, thank you.
I'd like to say that Yusuf summed up the whole answer beautifully. I think he made an excellent point. It starts with us, and I've come to see that a lot in every experience I go through. It starts with the MUNs. Every time I meet new people, I meet competition, but at the same time, in our lunch breaks or even after committee, it's so fun to meet people from all over Israel, and sometimes even from different countries, and it's so easy to connect with them. And it proves to me that no matter what, it starts with having an open mind and being able to accept everyone. And even now on this trip, where our group is very different, everyone has a different background, they came from different places, and despite all of that, we're all connected. And I think that's the secret to creating peace.
Thank you, leaders, once again for your thoughtful responses. Moving on to our third question. What changes do you think your community or society needs to be able to break out of polarization and build more understanding? And what steps could your community do to be closer to peace?
Honestly, this is a quite complex answer, and you can't sum it up in one tip or one suggestion that would fix everything magically. But one of the main points is the reason people have this kind of mindset is because they're not willing to give it a try. Okay, have you guys ever watched, saw a title of a book, for example, or maybe a picture of a movie, and you're like, this picture is not very good, so I'm probably not going to continue with that movie. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to read this book. And that's basically what happens in our society, in the world. People are not willing to give it a try, but I believe my number one tip, my number one suggestion is when you give it a try, you will never regret this decision.
I think you actually pointed out a very important thing, which is I'm going to follow up upon. One thing I'm very firm believer of is the fact that we must never wait for spots where light and hope exist, because we should be the ones to make them in the first place. Meaning that this barrier that Yusuf talked about how we say, why should we be the ones to take the initiative? Why can't the other side take it? All of these doubts and fears, and keep asking ourselves these what-ifs questions and to overthink our actions, is this one big dead end that will lead us to nowhere. It's literally a loop that you cannot escape unless you become a firm believer that these what-ifs questions are a sort of a barrier that needs to be broken. And once they are broken, everything can be solved, whether it's by participating in community service that involves both youth from both sides, or even having programs that we can mix together, extracurriculars, for example, the biggest example is the model UN we have in Israel. In the moment we find a common ground, we no longer really care what is the ethnicity or the nationality of the other side. What we do care about is doing alliances and to succeed in our mission. So when it comes to breaking this what if barrier, I believe everything can become easier and be more easily achieved in order to find this hope that we are trying to look for. Thank you.
I think so. I think like many things that were said here, both by Yusuf and Emily and even Renate, can be like summed up very beautifully. It's like we're more alike than we are different, and I think this might be the most important key to understanding to getting it's the first step on the path to peace. Understanding that the other people want the same as you. They're like, even in the most conflict-ridden places, like where we come from, we have the capacity to understand that neither side wants this anguish to continue. Neither side wants bad. Everyone has their goals, but at the end, we all want to live together in peace. We all want our kind of utopian world. So understanding this can be the first step towards peace. But there are others, like what Emily said with the MUN. When you have a common goal, which is exploring these issues, exploring why we do not agree, what divides us, could be maybe not the most important, but would be a huge leap towards a more united world, a more peaceful world, a world which is built on tolerance and understanding, which are the foundations of peace and peaceful living.
I think that all previous speakers, they've made an excellent point. It's all the biggest thing to achieve this is this sort of mindset of like being able to take that first step. And I think a big part of being able to have like everyone have this, because I personally, from what I've seen, us who are willing to take that step, we are a minority. And a lot of people didn't grow up with these values, with these beliefs that that type of willingness to make the step and not wait for someone else to do it for you. So I think education is the way to do this. I think people should be taught in their schools, like, oh, here are some programs you can go to that will help you understand further the people around you, help you emphasize with the people around you. And I think education is the way to create that common mindset of the willingness to take the first step.
Thank you once again. I'd like to ask the audience, our respected audience, to think about questions you want to ask our peacemakers after they answer this fourth question. So, what's your opinion, or how can the role of youth in peacebuilding be amplified and supported? And what challenges do youth face in becoming a peacemakers?
I think the biggest challenge in youth peacemaking and for other teenagers to take the step that we have taken, and I think we are all very grateful for, and to have this opportunity, is kind of releasing ourselves from the shackles of the past, because no conflict is born just because. Every conflict between us that will require peacemaking is rooted in some beliefs or in some pre-existing condition. But it could be social stigmas, it could be just a wrong assessment of a situation. And I think, personally, that removing those shackles from you, understanding that while this might be how you think, and this might be the way you were taught or brought up, this is not the only belief that exists, and the other side has their own beliefs. So removing these shackles from ourselves of the way we were brought up, and being free to think about a conflict or what have you from every angle is the most important leap everyone, especially teenagers, which are heavily influenced by their parents or by where they grew up. For example, I was brought up in Tel Aviv, and while it's a very liberal and understanding place, I've met and I know some people who will not agree to even speak or hear out people who are from Arab countries or even from the Arab population in Israel. So I think releasing those pre-existing shackles from you is the most important step for each youth to take if they want to achieve peace, because this is really the first step, is getting the understanding that the other side has their problems and their opinions too. And if we kind of open ourselves up to these others' opinions and other ways of life, this is the first and I think most important step towards achieving peace.
Thank you very much, Yair. Honestly, I'm gonna steal the shackles analytic from you for a bit, because I really loved it, and I do want to follow up on it. We don't come into those programs as youth with power, okay? We come with pain. We carry lived experiences, confusion, frustration, and questions that practically no classroom can answer. But it's not that exact honesty and the way we come into those programs is the reason youth peacebuilding has the strength it has. When young people from both sides of a conflict sit together, even though they don't necessarily agree, they listen. And that's the most important part. Something begins to shift at that point, and we don't erase the war. We don't erase the chaos. No, we interrupt it. And that's our job in general. Our goal isn't to pretend the world is okay. Our goal is to imagine how it could be, what it can achieve, the future that we can have all in unison, and then take steps to build that. Thank you.
I think sometimes we say that what's in the past stays in the past, but sometimes when it comes to this kind of history, people refuse to let it go because their roots they are still rooted to what happened in the past. And while it might not be easy to forget, but at the same time, we need to take into consideration this aspect. And I truly loved what both Yusuf and Yair said, so I'm not going to make it more repetitive. However, many people see that they need to reach this level of ideology, that this process needs to be ideal, but there is no path in life that is straight. We have a very bumpy road. It goes with many ups and downs. And as Yair said, with his population, that maybe some Jews do not accept the fact of communicating with the Arab population, whether it's inside of Israel or in the Middle East. I know a lot of people who do the same in our population, so it goes both ways. I'm not going to say that no, in our population it's ideal. In no side it is ideal, and that's exactly the thing we need to fathom. Now, also another thing that I want to emphasize upon is consistency and commitment. Just like success. Success doesn't come when you want to make it happen. It comes when you have discipline and not only motivation. It comes when you have consistency and commitment and becoming a firm believer of the path and journey you decided to take in life. So what we must always keep as a constant reminder to teenagers is the fact that it might not happen easily nor quickly. It might take a decade even. But we must actually let them fathom is the fact that we must stay consistent and committed to the goal until we reach it. Because otherwise, we are never going to have it in front of us in order to reach the population ever since we were born we dreamed of having.
I feel like Emily, Yair, and Yusuf already said basically everything there is to say. Or maybe not everything, but the most important points, and anything I might be able to say right now just would feel repetitive, so I'm going to save you guys that pain and move on to the next question.
Thank you once again. We'll give the floor to the audience. Whoever wants to ask a questions, please go ahead. Yes, please.
My name is Sandra, Women Federation for Peace International, UN Geneva, and I'm quite impressed from your presentation. And I think I would like to thank your parents or whoever is supporting you to continue on. I know it's not easy, especially in our age, digital age that we are in. So I have two questions that I would like to ask. In a world of increasing misinformation, what is the role of critical thinking education in sustainable peace and democracy, do you think? Because I feel like there is an imbalance of information on the social media where we have a lot of support from one country compared to the other country, and you cannot always stay your stand because you have to be very careful. And I know how it is very dangerous even to view your opinion online. So what is your stand about it? And then the second question that I would love to ask you is, how can young people be empowered through education, to become active peace builders in their communities? Because you have given examples, I find your your resilience and your empowerment very good, but how can you also empower more youth to come out and be peace builders? Thank you.
First of all, thank you so much for the amazing questions. I think I would start with the first question, which is regarding the misinformation that we face, especially in Israel, because that's what we go through, especially because of the conflict. So many misinformation. Sometimes, unfortunately, teenagers believe anything that is on social media. They get really easily brainwashed, and that's also a major problem or phenomenon that we need to deal with. Now, regarding the misinformation, we should balance this thing, such as how we balance everything in life, because there is no such thing as having one opinion and being so stubborn about it without willing to change it or give a room for improvement over this political statement. So misinformation might happen to everyone, unfortunately, especially when it comes to youth. So what I think we need to do is having more conversations between each other to try and understand the other side, what has to say, or what does the other side think, so that maybe we have this teeny tiny hope of changing what they have in mind and stop the very certain biased thoughts they have.
If I may, first of all, thank you for the two excellent questions. I'd like to add on to what Emily said and agree that, yes, regarding the first question, there is a terrible amount of misinformation about the conflict we are living through and other conflicts in the news. And what I do, at least, and what I want to encourage everyone to do is both learn the facts and with those facts, go and spread them. Try and balance out the misinformation with actual facts and what really does happen. Because, well, this might not be for everyone, because it is sometimes it kind of feels like a futile battle, but the one message of somebody who on social media who I try to present with the fact and says, oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that, I'll try to learn more, is worth everything, because you've made a difference, you help someone come to their senses and stop the hatred and maybe move them into a better place, a place where they also spread the agenda of peace and of facts and stop the hate that comes from misinformation. And I'd like to just really quickly answer the second question, at least from my experience, is just about how we can get more youth to do peace building, and what we do is show them what it does. I did not come here like on my own. I came here because I knew Stephen from MUN, and I came to Stephen to MUN because I saw on my peers, on the seniors, when I was just a junior in high school, I saw what my seniors were doing. I saw what they were also in similar panels and working actively towards achieving peace all over the world. And I think this is like the best way to show someone how much good it does and how much it can benefit the world. And just from these feelings alone, I think many people would be hooked and come to develop peace like we do.
Thank you for the amazing answers. But what I want to focus on from your question, which I think is very important, is also the second question as how we're supposed to empower youth. So let's be honest, okay? Youth are a very diverse group, like every human being. They might think that, for example, what we're doing here, what we're rooting for is not cool, okay? People their age don't do that, and it's not cool, and it's not exactly a usual thing to do. So they decide not to take the first step into it. Culture, language, religion, all of this comes from home. All of this comes from years ago, from parents that raised and made it a norm. They made it a standard, and that's exactly what I believe we should do. We have to put it as standard. We need to make youth and peace building, youth empowerment in general, a standard, not something that we have to achieve. It's something where we start, and that's the base that we have to go upon and build on.
I'd like to thank you for the great two questions, first of all. I think misinformation has always been a plague on the internet, and it always will be. But learning the facts, and every time you learn something new on the internet, checking it against sources is always the first thing you should do. And just knowing what is correct and checking against other resources that you know are real and provide factual information, that's how you deal with misinformation, and it's something everyone should do. I'd like to focus a bit more on your second question, the empowerment of youth and how to bring them into this world, because I've come here because of the Model UN, and that's, I think, the easiest way to get to these points. And at my school at least, on a local level, I went through classes of 9th graders and 10th graders, introducing peace building to them, introducing MUN to them, and trying to get them to join our club. And I think teaching them that this is a thing, and these are the ways you can reach absolute heights is a crucial step. And even my classmates, they know that I'm here, and they know that, hey, a girl from our class, she's right now at a UN building speaking in front of a crowd. And it's an inspiring moment for them. And I think that's the way to get more youth into these empowering positions.
Thank you, youth, and thank you for your questions. We'll give the floor to the people on Zoom. I said that we have some questions. Go ahead.
Thank you. On behalf of the online participants, there are two questions. The first one, Thanks. At first, I'd like to congratulate Debate for Peace for this enormous important work and engagement from Christian Kogler. My questions would be that how it could work that we identify the people who benefit from conflict, which you can find in most conflicts, and to make a majority aware of them, and therefore take away the influence those, mostly extremist groups, have on societies. The second question, I'm curious, is art and media an important part of youth peace building? From Alex Riftin. If so, how should it be applied by organisations, activists?
I would like to thank the online participants for these two amazing questions, and I think for the second question, what Yusuf said was very inspiring and holds up very, very well still, is us four might be here because we did it through an UN and we like our public speaking. But this is far from the only avenue towards peace. And if we normalize youth peace building, just like Yusuf said, and we make this the standard, and we let everyone who wants to participate however they want, be they creating art or music or expressing themselves however they want, as long as they're working towards peace and empowerment, I think this has unlimited value and must be implemented in schools and what have you. And the first question, I'm not sure I understood it correctly or exactly how the online participant intended it, but what I understood was how we deal with the people who benefit from conflict. And while this is kind of the ugly side of it, yes, there are some people who either enjoy spreading the hatred or just will not accept and will not listen and somehow gain from the conflict. We cannot, as much as we would like to, ignore these people. What we can do is either bring them to our side, bring them to the side of peace, and if we cannot, try to, as much as we can, shut them down and try to reduce their influence, because their influence is toxic. And the more people like this there are, the longer the conflict goes on, the more people suffer. So if you see somebody who does somehow benefit from a conflict, these are the most dangerous people, and these people must be shut down for the conflict to resolve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, first of all, for the amazing two questions. Regarding what you said for the first question, I definitely agree, so I don't really want to make it more repetitive. However, I think that we also should emphasize upon youth who might be in danger of getting brainwashed from these people, not also the ones who already got brainwashed, which is something that has to do with social awareness, with more talking about the phenomenon we have, sharing what we do in Debate for Peace, and regarding the role of social media in order to actually promote these kinds of initiatives and extracurriculars. As Yusuf said, not everyone is passionate nor interested into joining everything that has to do with public speaking for multiple reasons. Maybe they don't have the passion for it, maybe they are too scared. So maybe we need to develop Debate for Peace into more wide fields where youth can actually be interested, listen, and become part of it. So maybe it doesn't really have to do with debate. Maybe we can spread it even more to more fields where actually we can attract more people to join our side, and hopefully to prevent those who are in the danger of getting brainwashed from the toxic people who benefit from conflict zones. Thank you.
First of all, I'm very grateful for those questions, okay? Like, everyone here is going to ask the questions. As a part of my previous speech, that I said, we ask questions that no classroom can answer. But also, another part of it, from the other side, we hear questions that we don't hear in the classroom. And this is just amazing. This is exactly the reason we are here. This is why we're joining those programs, to hear, to listen, and to try and figure out the answer, even if the answer might not be as one-sided as some could think. So I do want to start with the art and media question. So I personally believe it's a very huge, boost and strength for youth empowerment. The reason for that is art is not just a piece of a painting, for example, or a movie or whatever. It's actual emotion. And we didn't get to sit and speak about those important issues in front of people without emotion. So that's one part of it. The part of the media, I'm sure that many of you have watched a show about police, FBI, lawyers maybe, or maybe even UN diplomats, maybe a documentary. And you were looking at those characters and you're like, I want to be there one day. This is exactly where it starts. Usually with youth watching those shows, watching those movies, reading those books, they're like, I want to be like this person. And this is exactly where it starts, It keeps coming back to the same points where we have to normalize youth empowerment and peace building and make it a casual thing. But arts and media is such a huge and important aspect of the whole empowerment topic. Now, going back to the first question about the people who gain something from conflicts. Yes, there are people like that, and we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But no matter how many people will be gaining something and benefiting from a conflict, there's always going to be more people that are against that want the benefit of their people, that want peace, no matter how many. So if all of us just come together, union is practically the answer. If everyone comes together, we will easily overpower those people and maybe solve many other conflicts as well.
And I cannot miss this opportunity to plug our book again. The cover of The Right Path was, it has the symbols of the four largest religious groups in Israel. And it was drawn by a young artist, a boy from the Druze religion, which is the fourth minority faith in Israel. And the second book, which is coming out on Amazon, the cover will be drawn by a girl named Maria, who also did a similar a drawing to promote peace and understanding. Hala.
Thank you for everyone for participating. Thank you, young leaders, for making this happen. Thank you, Women for Peace, World Peace, for giving us this opportunity and giving us a panel to be here today. Thank you so much.